Is gun violence up in Toronto? That's a question being asked after yet another deadly weekend in our city. Earlier today, I spoke with the president of the Toronto Police Association, who says the violence on our streets is beyond concerning.
Shootings on Queen Street, Augusta, public places, 10 people shot this weekend, 2 fatally, and what we've seen is a steady increase in shooting victims, 145% increase since 2014.
There are 29 more shootings in 2018 compared to this time last year. In 2017, there were 170 occurrences and 248 victims by the end of June. This year so far, there have been 199 shootings and 257 victims. The data was last updated last Sunday and doesn't include this weekend's shootings in the city's downtown core. The numbers have been steadily climbing these last few years. In 2014, there were 177 shootings and 242 victims. Fast forward to 2017, those numbers more than doubled, with 395 shootings and 594 victims.
The mayor is clearly at the head of this helm. What we need to do, and again, we need to have some long-term social fabric pieces about the socioeconomic condition, what gets people into gangs. Those are long-term fixes, as well as policing. But the interim fix right now is to get the police officers on the street right now, have a higher police presence, a presence that shows bad guys who are running around with guns that it's not okay to be carrying a gun, and that it's not okay to be using that firearm.
Today, Mayor John Tory tells City News the city is hiring 200 police officers this year and has spoken to Police Chief Mark Saunders, who told him police are, quote, seized with this issue. Part of the mayor's statement reads in part, "Countless police officers, from constables to the chief himself, have told me how frustrated they are by the fact someone they arrest for a gun crime can be back out on the street on bail quickly and ready to cause more mayhem. That is not right, and that is something we can stop right now. I understand there will be those in the coming days who think they have a magic wand to fix the situation. The answers are easy if we work together to deploy more police and support the police to actually get these thugs behind bars and keep them there." This University of Toronto sociologist, who also studies gang violence, says Toronto is one of the safest big cities in North America, but says there's a slight increase in the numbers of shootings during summer.
The summer is ripe for opportunities of ordinary conflict and disrespect. And when these kinds of things align and a person is armed with a firearm, it can often lead to disastrous and sometimes even lethal consequences, as we're seeing in Toronto.
How are these guns even getting into our city?
So there are a number of different theories out there, and the short answer is that we don't have a lot of data on this. But typically how people get guns is that a person will buy a gun legally and then they will divert that gun, either intentionally or unintentionally into the hands of somebody who uses it to then commit a crime. And then there's also just theft. Sometimes people will steal guns.
And John Tory also saying he will be making a call to Federal Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale. And today, Ontario's new Premier Doug Ford released this statement on gun violence in Toronto. He says this has been a very difficult summer in our city, and thoughts and prayers aren't going to cut it anymore. We need action. Toronto is home to the greatest public officers. We need to make sure they have the resources to round up these criminals, build relationships in communities, and prevent these shootings. I'm looking forward to meeting with representatives from the Toronto Police in the near future so we can get to work on a strategy to end the senseless violence.